Ready. 49-35, cut 1. Numbers game number 2. Yellow Brick Path, recording date 9/29/70, air date to be announced. Director Chip Neal.
Hello. You know, after last week, I can't help but think of all the points all around me. In fact, if you think of it, all of space could be thought of as a big bunch of exact locations, or a set of points. We play the game on points. The game piece sits on one point on the board, and we move it to another point every time. The bottom of this piece, though, certainly couldn't be thought of as a good picture of a point, could it? Because we learned last week that the smaller a dot is, the better it shows a point. But you know, you could think of a point on the bottom of this piece if you thought of just in the center there. You can't see it, of course, because we can't see points, but if you think about it, right in the center you could think of a point. And that point is where it sits on the board. Well, let's move and see where we go today. 1. Well, I guess that means I'm supposed to walk down this path.
Step right up, step right up. Look at all the marvelous things the Path family can do. And here's the star of Iraq, Penelope Path. Do your stuff, Penelope. See how she curves? We've also been billed the Curve family. Notice Penelope makes a new path each time she moves. Just keep changing, Penelope. Oh, hello there. I know you'll love our act, and you'll certainly want to hire us.
Hire you? I'm just a visitor here. What you mean, hire you?
Oh, come on. We know you're a talent scout. Penelope, just keep those paths going.
Really, I'm not a talent scout. I just came to see what was happening in the land of ideas.
Penelope, you were great. And now, let's bring on the next big member of the act, a real headliner, Leon the Line. Watch him stretch himself out from left to right. Look to the left. Do you see an end? Look to the right. The same thing. Leon stretches on and on. Our line goes on forever. And he can do it up and down, too. Watch him stretch up and down. Leon, you're beautiful.
It is very enjoyable, but
And now another one of our star attractions, Leslie Line segment. Watch her go from one of our endpoints to the other one. There's the other endpoint. Those points are part of her path. That was great. Let's bring on her again. Come on, Leslie Line segment. Let's bring back Leslie Line. Let's see that again. There it is. That is a beautiful. Notice how straight Leslie Line segment is and how clearly you see her endpoints. Notice that a line segment does not go on and on. Leslie has 2 endpoints that are part of her path.
Oh, I see. Leon the line stretches on and on in either direction and never stops. But Leslie line segment does stop at her end points. But you know, as nice as Leon the line and Leslie line segment were, what I really liked were those paths that were all curvy and squiggly.
Well, you think that was great? I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'll show you some paths in real-life situations, and you can see all the things paths can do. Now here we go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Why, you'll find the path family just about everywhere. Why, even ice skaters make some beautiful straight paths. Count 'em, 1, 2. And also, we also have some curved paths. Just watch this. Just look at this path. That's a path to be proud of. Now, next time you go skating, see how many different curved and straight paths you can make. You know, a real good skater practices for hours trying to make paths just right. And here we go, one of my favorite sports. You'll find us in basketball. It gives us a chance to show off all kinds of curved paths. And straight ones too. Watch the bounce. And you can't go flying and not leave a path behind you. Here's our old path in the sky, curves up and up and up. Well, I can see by your comments that you were properly impressed with all the things that my family can do. And I'm glad you noticed that some of our paths are curvy, but our lines are just as straight as an arrow. Line segments have 2 endpoints to set them off. And how about the paths that came back to meet themselves? Well, I know you're going to hire us. We make a great act. We're free to travel, and we can...
But I really...
Well, we could call ourselves the Kerr family again, if you'd like.
But honestly, I'm not connected with any kind of talent search. I'm just a singer myself.
Now, for heaven's sake, why did you say that to begin with? How do you like that? We went through the whole act. And now she tells us she's not even a talent scout. I always give people my best line, but they're not interested.
Oh, it was a great act, though. A really remarkable act. I'll never forget it. Why, Penelope Path, who made all those marvelous paths, some that were curvy and squiggly, and some made up of line segments. And Leon the Line, who stretched on in either direction and never stopped. I'll never forget that. And Leslie Line segment with 2 endpoints to set her off as part of a line. Why, it was a really great act.
Well, we'll just keep practicing our act. Pretty soon, maybe somebody will come and discover us.
Oh, I know they will. I know they will.
Yes, we'll just have to follow the yellow brick path.
You know, I do hope somebody comes and discovers that Path family soon. It's a really exciting act. You know, this path is very much like Penelope Path. Actually, I think I see a connection between this path and the points we talked about last week. You know, the point was simply an exact location. Well, we could find exact locations on this path. We might use a marker to mark the points we find. Of course, this marker is certainly much, much too big to be a good picture of a point. But you know, we could think of a point right in the center of this marker. And that's the point we're talking about when we put it on the path. Well, you know, we could mark paths, points rather, any place on the path. Maybe over here, or a point over there. Or we could mark points, several points in a row on the path, and pretty soon we'd find that we get an awful lot of them. You know, wherever I mark a point and another one, I can always put one in the middle. So I can put one here, and in the middle between those two, and between those two, and look what's happening. The path is beginning to look just like a series of points, isn't it? Well, that's exactly what a path is. A path is made up of points. And you know, last week, if you think carefully for a minute, we said a point was an idea. We couldn't really see it. Now, if our path is made up of points, it must be an idea too. And the path that we draw with a pencil or mark on the floor, that's just a picture of a path. It's not really the path. The same thing would be true of a line, because that's only a special kind of path, a straight one. And the same thing would be true of a line segment, because that's just part of a line. You know, we talked about points in space last time, and we talked about points in a special part of space, a plane. Have you noticed that this path is on a flat surface or plane? In fact, all the paths we talked about, practically all of them anyway, today were on a plane. The baseball people were running on a flat surface. That was a plane. The ice skaters, their paths were on planes. Even Penelope path and Leon the line and Leslie line segment, those seem to be on planes too. You know, Penelope path wasn't just one path. Penelope was lots of different paths. Every time Penelope moved, she made a new path. Some of them were all curvy and nice. Some were made of line segments. Did you notice the one made of line segments? And then Leon the line. Well, Leon stretched on and on in either direction. He was a special kind of path. And Leslie line segment was just a part of a line, a part set off by end points. Well, you know, we've talked about putting points on paths. We could also make a path through points. Sometimes a path drawn through points can be very pretty. Let's see what I mean. I think the Path family would be very happy to be in a picture like that. Can you see a part of the picture that looks like Penelope Path? Can you see parts that looks like Leslie line segment?
Pre-recorded in the studios of the Maryland Center for Public Broadcasting.